What if I told you that being good with money has almost nothing to do with how smart you are? Seriously, your degree, your IQ, they aren't the main predictors of success. It really comes down to something much simpler, but also way harder: your behavior. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but we're about to dig into a real-life story that proves it in the most stunning way imaginable. Okay, let's just jump right in, because this is wild. On one side, you have Ronald Reed. He was a janitor his whole life. When he died, he had an $8 million fortune. On the other side, Richard Fuld, a Harvard-educated CEO of a massive investment bank, who lost everything and went bankrupt.
And that's the central puzzle of this whole thing, isn't it? One man had every possible advantage you can think of. The other had none. So you just have to ask, how is that even possible?
Well, the answer starts with two things we really don't like to talk about: luck and risk. It's so tempting to look at a success story and say it was all skill, but that's never the full picture. I mean, take Bill Gates. Of course he was a genius, but he also had the mind-blowing luck of going to one of the only high schools on the planet that had a computer in 1968.
That's just one in a million.
But then you have his friend, Kent Evans, who was right there with him, just as brilliant, and he died in a freak accident before they could even graduate. That's the other side of the coin, right? That's risk. They're two sides of the same force. Exactly. And that brings us to a really critical idea. Getting rich and staying rich are two completely different games. Getting rich is all offense. It's about being optimistic, taking big swings, putting yourself out there. But staying rich, that's pure defense. That's about being humble, a little paranoid, and just focusing on survival. And you see this pattern everywhere, right in the headlines. Mike Tyson earns something like $400 million in his career and ends up completely broke. Or more recently, Sam Bankman-Fried builds a $26 billion empire and poof, it's all gone in a matter of days.
They were absolute masters of the offensive game, but they had no idea how to play defense. They just kept taking huge risks, even after they'd already won, and that's exactly how you get wiped off the board.
Now, on the flip side, you have someone like Warren Buffett. His real secret wasn't one single genius investment. His secret was simply not going broke for over 70 years. He just survived. He let the slow, almost boring magic of compounding do its thing. He mastered the defensive game. It's not about the highest returns. It's about staying in the game long enough to let the returns work for you. Which brings us all the way back to our janitor, Ronald Reed. I mean, if the guy had $8 million, where was it? No one ever saw him driving a fancy car or living in a mansion. And that's because we have this huge, fundamental misunderstanding of what wealth is. When we see somebody in a Ferrari, we think, wow, that person's rich. But what we're actually seeing isn't wealth. It's just the opposite. It's spending. And this, right here, this is the most important takeaway. Real wealth is the fancy car you didn't buy. It's the designer watch you decided to pass on. It's all the money that you haven't converted into stuff yet. True wealth is invisible. It's the income you save and invest, not the income you spend. The statistic that really gets me is this one. Almost 70% of Americans, and this includes a lot of people making 6 figures a year, are living paycheck to paycheck. It's just mind-boggling. It really is, and it's because so many of us fall for this illusion. We think a big paycheck equals wealth. So we make more, we spend more, and at the end of the day, there's nothing left over to build that actual unseen wealth. And the psychology behind that spending is just fascinating. It's this thing called the man in the car paradox. And it works like this. When you see someone driving a really expensive car, you probably don't think, wow, the person driving that car is so cool. Instead, your brain immediately makes it about you. You think, man, if I had that car, people would think I'm so cool. Whoa, that's such an ironic little loop. So we buy expensive things to get respect from people who aren't even respecting us. They're just using our stuff as a way to imagine getting respect for themselves. So all of this really boils down to one simple but incredibly hard question you have to ask yourself. And if you don't have a good answer for it, you can end up on a really dangerous road. It's because, for almost all of us, that deep-seated desire for more is a goalpost that just keeps shifting. There are studies on this. No matter what people earn, they pretty consistently say they need about 2 or 3 times their current income to finally feel rich. The finish line just keeps moving further away, unless you decide to stop it. And if you want a really scary, real-world example of this, just look at the story of Rajat Gupta. I mean, this guy had it all. Came from nothing, rose to become the CEO of McKinsey, the most elite consulting firm on earth. He had a net worth of over $100 million. But it wasn't enough. He wanted to be a billionaire. So he got involved in insider trading, and he lost everything. His reputation, his money, his freedom. He went to prison.
His story is just the ultimate cautionary tale, and the lesson is so incredibly important. There is just no reason to risk the things you have and truly need, like your reputation, your freedom, your family, for something you don't have and don't actually need, like just a little bit more money. Learning how to say, I have enough, is a genuine superpower.
So if the goal isn't just more, then what is it? What's the point of saving and investing at all? Well, the real point, the highest thing money can buy, isn't stuff. It's control over your time. It's freedom.
Yeah, the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That feeling, that is the highest form of wealth there is.
And look, this isn't some far-off dream just for billionaires. Think about it on a smaller scale. Just having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund gives you a piece of this power. It means a surprise bill isn't a 4-alarm fire. It means you have the breathing room to leave a job you hate. It means a terrible boss doesn't own you. You get to make choices from a place of strength, not desperation. And that really changes the whole game. Forget the fancy watch or the sports car. The real status symbol, the ultimate flex in today's world, is having control over your own time and your own options. It's having the power to live life on your own terms.
So I guess the last question to leave you with is this. When you think about your financial goals, are you just focused on making a number in an account go up? Or are you using that money as a tool to build a life that actually feels rich?